But one of the main things that the men would do was build canoes. Y la canoa is actually the first indigenous word, Taino word, included in the Spanish language. And because there's no other way to describe the vessels that they made, which were perfect for navigating between island and island, canoa is actually included in all languages nowadays. And you can see here they made smaller ones, they made bigger ones. It is said that some of the largest canoes could hold up to 70 people. So some of the sails will actually be made of algodón, cotton, sarobe in Taino. They would even use palm leaves for the sails of their canoes. They would use la gigante ceiba in order to make the canoes out of the trunks. El guayacán, which I mentioned in the last video, was also used as the tree source for the canoes. The guayacán is where we get the guava berry from. The canoas were so fast that even the galleys, which were the Spanish ships that were their fastest ships, could not keep up with one canoe. So one of the writers of the time, called Oviedo, he explained how they made the canoes, and here's an example step by step. But on page 160, it explains really well here. It says, Oviedo later explained the canoe was made from the trunk of a tree that was emptied by blows of stone axes, which are these. And he says, and they go burning what is beaten little by little. We can see that happening in the top one. They put in benches once it was cleared. The Taino paddle, which is what they used to row with, called nai. We know that they probably had a ceremony for selecting the tree, processing the tree, and at the end, launching the canoe. But unfortunately, it is believed that all of those rituals were lost, and we will never know if they even had any. Alone, Christopher Columbus, Colon himself, was so impressed by these vessels that this is what he wrote. He said, they go in a matter you would not believe, and they sail all the islands, which are innumerable, and bring their merchandise. In other words, they had trade routes. They had commerce, maybe not, obviously not in the same way that we do commerce, but they did have it. Las Casas, Bartolomé de las Casas, who was a huge defender of indigenous rights, he wrote that they did daily commerce between La Española or La República y Puerto Rico. We now know that some of the caciques, who were the leaders, the names of the chiefs, or the title of the chiefs, some of them were related to each other. The ones from La Española or La República y Haití, and the ones from Puerto Rico. For example, on page 162 of this book, it says that El cacique Andrés del Higüey de la Española was considered a relative of the cacique of Aguabana of Puerto Rico. As we see, they also used their canoes to fish. They used nets, they used harpoons, they used different methods in order to catch the fish. They used hooks made of bone. They even would knock out the fish with a narcotic plant named Guagua. And this would, make the fish sleepy and make it easier to catch. So canoes came, like we said, in various sizes. And Columbus reported the largest one. Like, in general, they could hold about 70 people. However, Columbus said that he saw a beautiful canoe, because they also painted them. And this was in Cuba, that was reportedly 65 feet long and had a capacity of about 150 people. Basically, kind of like an airplane, no? So we know through this that when young boys were shown to have a good ability for swimming, for canoe making, for navigating canoes, they would learn how to navigate by the stars. However, it wasn't as deep as for example, the Spanish knew a lot more about astrology and how the movement of the moon and the stars worked. And they used it against indigenous people, and I'll tell you about that later on. However, their ability to just navigate between island and island, literally, when Columbus came around, he went from island to island and he would find in between the islands people just in canoes, just chilling. We're just there. So kind of like this. They were very comfortable with just chilling by themselves in the middle of the sea, just having the time of their lives.